G'day everyone, this is Matt Rard here from the eBusiness Institute, where we teach people how to buy and sell websites. And so if you're looking to buy an online business, today's interview is absolutely perfect for you, because I'm really excited to have one of the industry leaders in the buying and selling website space as Thomas Smale. He's the founder or co-founder and CEO of FE International, which is one of the world's leading mergers and acquisitions companies in this space. They've been around since Liz and I have been online. They're very well trusted, but more importantly, they specialize in their niche is full-on mergers and acquisitions of websites in the 7 and 8 figure range. So what we can cover today with Thomas is some really interesting and unique insights. You're hearing it from the CEO himself of what is happening in this space, and it relates to all of us, no matter what size website you have. Thomas has got some amazing insights for us in this industry. As I said, he's one of the industry leaders here. And so I'm really excited to have Thomas on board. Thanks, Thomas, for coming along.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me on again, Matt. It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's really good to see you again. And you made a big impact when you, pre-COVID, when you came out live to one of our boot camps. As I was saying to you, you've inspired a whole heap of our students to go out there and build amazing content sites, some of them 7 figures. So it's really good to have you back doing this update. So what I want to start out with, it's been an exciting time in this industry. What are you seeing? Because you're based, I want to make clear to everyone, Thomas is based in the US, even though he's got an English accent there. And you've got quite a big team, haven't you? How big's your team now?
We're over 50 at the moment.
Okay, and you're operating out of real offices, not even virtual offices.
No, the real offices. We do have a few remote people, but our biggest office is in New York. That's our head office. We have an office in London, office in Miami, office just outside San Francisco. And then, like I said, we have a few remote people as well. Awesome.
And so basically you are very much involved in that mergers and acquisitions in that 7 and 8 figure range. And how has that gone over the last few years? Have you seen any major changes there? Because I know you're very consistent. This is your bread and butter for the last decade or so. But what have you seen happen over the last, say, 2 years?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, we've been in business since 2010. So nearly coming up for 12 years in the industry now. So I guess we've seen a lot over that time. Over the last couple of years, the industry's definitely been growing. There's more people coming into the industry, more individuals. I think particularly as a lot of roles have either gone remote or forced to be temporarily remote. People are more used to being online. So we're currently using Zoom. I think almost everyone has figured out how to use Zoom over the last couple of years, who previously never even would have thought about using Zoom. So I think more and more people kind of are understanding how online business works, just because they're kind of in the online world, which makes kind of complete sense. From a bigger company perspective, large private equity firms have always been in the space, but more of them are continuing to either come down market, so look at smaller deals. So they might be looking at a $10 million deal, where previously they might have only been looking at a $50 million deal, which is a lot of the range we do business in. A lot of those guys also put more of their strategies around buying online businesses. So they might want to buy a content business, digital products business, software business, e-commerce business, or whatever. Whereas traditionally they might have been buying gyms, restaurants, gas stations, whatever it might be. So that, I guess more and more companies getting more focused in that space. And then from a seller perspective or business owner perspective, we've seen, particularly at the lower end, a lot of people have almost been forced through COVID to either spend more time on the side working on their online business because they've either lost their job, unfortunately, or not been able to go to work, or they just have more time because they're working from home. So because they're saving 2 or 3 hours a day on their commuting, they can spend their time on their business. So a lot of, I guess, what you previously call a hobby website, where they might be making $1,000 a month, those same people are now making $20,000 a month. So it's gone from a hobby to a full-time income. And we've seen lots of people do that. At the higher end, I'd say the market is still quite similar, because if you had a business making $1 million a year 2 years ago, you were probably already full-time working on it. You didn't quit a job and then suddenly start spending more time during COVID. So while a lot of those businesses have grown over the last few years. I'd say with, for example, with a like e-commerce business, for example, a lot of e-commerce businesses have had logistics challenges with kind of, particularly in the US, like shipping, kind of costs of shipping from places like China or wherever their suppliers might be. It's definitely been difficult. In the software space, we've generally seen a lot of demand there. Content space is always demand. Lots of people kind of coming into the industry. And I'm assuming you and Liz have been seeing the same, more and more people coming in at the, not necessarily, I wouldn't necessarily call it the lower end of the market, but what we would describe as a smaller deal. So a 6 or a low 7-figure deal, and kind of turning it into a full-time thing, turning it into a real business. Maybe some of the people in your network have started hiring employees, whereas 2 years ago, when I was meeting people at your event, they might have been just starting out, like maybe working with a freelancer or doing it on weekends. Now they have a team of 10 people and they're making 10 times more. Yeah.
And that's exactly our community. That you hit the nail on the head there. I was just about to say, the second category is probably 80-20 rule. That would be 80% of our clients, they've traditionally made, say, $1,000 to $2,000 a month off their content sites or kind of semi-passive sites. And now we're finding a bunch of them, because of COVID, are now doing this full time, and they're getting up to the 20 and 30,000 a month with the standard affiliate and AdSense related sites that you and I have known and loved for the last decade. And that's why. And that's why it's awesome when you came out to Australia, Thomas, and you spoke to our audience. Like, one of the people that you inspired heavily is Mark, who's now a coach with us as well. But, he heard that story where you just sold that site, that content site, for $15 million. And it was literally what we teach here at eBusiness, a simple content strategy. And I remember you said at the time, like, wow, it was just very simply run on an Excel spreadsheet. And you were able to sell that site for $15 million that they built up. So that's the sort of thing that I think our community love hearing, because the reality is most of us here are building content sites. We're not doing the e-commerce thing. We don't do SaaS really, because that's not our expertise. So in the content site model, have you seen any changes there? Like in that, say, 7-figure space, the buyers, are they happy to buy smaller sites now? Rather, like you said, is it easy to sell a smaller site?
Yeah, I'd say there's still demand. Like, there's always been demand for small sites. I think regardless of the size, there's someone out there to buy it. It wouldn't necessarily be something that FE would be representing. If it's a $20,000 website, there's still demand for those. Like, we're probably not representing it, but that doesn't mean there's not people in the space willing to buy it. One thing we find with content businesses is, we did a deal recently. It was around about $10 million deal. So not a small deal as such, but the firm that bought it is a company that every single person listening to this would know. They're a household firm, household investment bank behind them that everybody would know. And usually they told us they don't even look at deals below about $100 million. But because it was such a good strategic fit for them, they were interested in fitting with their portfolio. So what you do find with content businesses, because at least of all the businesses we work with, they're the least complex to run, you do often find a huge amount of demand. If it's a good strategic fit at all levels, small sites, large sites, there's always demand out there looking to buy those businesses. And that hasn't really changed. I guess it's just more and more people coming into the space every day.
So if you have a decent, this is what I love about internet businesses, you can have like what seems to be this really obscure, almost micro niche that you cover with a content site. Like, it might be a passion hobby thing, like a knitting site or something. You think, that no one, like, it's just only going to be of interest to other knitters. But some of these big corporates will look at those niche sites and go, you know what, we might just nab that because it's got a highly targeted audience. And like you said, traditionally they would only spend 100 million or whatever. Now they're prepared to come down to 10 million. And are you seeing that even, say, down around the $1 million level as well?
Oh, for sure. Even lower than that. I think the 10 million example is just the fact, I can't disclose who they are, but if you heard the name, every single person has heard of that company. They're probably one of the top 100 biggest companies in the world. By the lower end, yes, there's plenty of strategic buyers doing those kind of things, even at the lower end as well.
So traditionally, and you're very experienced working with these big corporate buyers, investment banks, and private equity firms and individual big corporations. But say around that, I'm interested around that $1 million level for our clients' sakes, because they've, as you said, they've got, our clients are building these sites to do these exits somewhere in the next 2 to 5 years. Have you seen a change down in that range in terms of the buyers? Like, are these individual buyers who have $1 million to spend? Are they high net worth individuals? And what sort of backgrounds would they have? Because you primarily deal with the US market, like American buyers.
Definitely. I mean, firstly, we have clients all over the world, but I'd say at that level, you definitely get a lot from the US acquirer-wise. I'd say $1 million is probably somewhat unique in that you have almost all different types of buyers at that level. You do just get individuals who, I guess, are high net worth, have $1 million and want to invest it. You do get large strategics who might be those like public companies everyone has heard of who want to buy something strategic that fits into their portfolio. You do get private equity funds who, again, probably not a financial fit, but a strategic fit for something else in their portfolio. Like partnerships and groups. So maybe you and I are like, hey, we want to buy a website about mountain biking because we both like mountain biking.
Yep.
Let's buy this, or whatever it might be. So at that level, you definitely get the broadest range of buyers. Whereas if you go to say 10 million, you get way less individuals. And if you go to say 100,000, you get way less. You're almost definitely not going to get a public company. So $1 million is a very diverse range of buyers for almost any site in the content space.
And have you, as a result of having so many buyers now in that space, have the valuations gone up at all on, say, around the $1 million to $5 million websites?
I'll say valuations have been gradually going up over the years, and that's been quite consistent. I'd say what has changed is buyers' willingness to pay for what I describe like as a good business. So multiples for good businesses have gone up. And then lower quality businesses who are not people taking your coaching. They're not people that are connected with your tool. A lot of those businesses are like not selling. We don't take them on. Our competitors don't take them on, and they're just not selling anymore. Buyers have definitely got more savvy and they like know what to look for. What's a good business? What's a bad business? And then for those good businesses, terms have also improved. So see, the multiple is one part of an acquisition, but also in the actual terms you get. So how much cash do you get up front for the business? How much support do you have to do? How quickly does the acquisition close? I mean, there's pages and pages of different kind of clauses I could give you, but terms have definitely improved as well. Like serious buyers are willing to move quickly, do good deals for good sites. So terms have definitely been improving. Particularly on deals we represent as well. Like one of the things we're really good at is getting sellers really good terms. It's not just maximizing valuation. It's also getting the highest amount of cash and all those elements as well. So definitely been improving, but it's not like multiples haven't doubled. So if you're coming into the space as a buyer, businesses are not suddenly completely unattainable and multiples are crazy. You shouldn't be buying anything. So I'd say the market is still, at least at the level we operate, is still rational. We're not seeing people paying 20 times revenue for a content site.
And so, Thomas, for you, you're not just a mergers and acquisitions, expert and an advisor, but you still invest yourself into website deals, don't you?
For sure. I'd say since day one of FE, like we started out buying and selling websites myself. Like they were not very big. They were $100 and I'd sell it for $500. That was FE International 2010. That's what we were doing. So I guess I'm very fortunate that the business is substantially bigger now. And all I personally know about, all I've done since I graduated university was do deals in this space. So I don't know anything about real estate. I don't know anything about stocks. I have a broad understanding, but it's not what I know about. I know this space. So I've always invested in the space, whether that's usually not as a majority owner, usually just partially into deals that then have operators, particularly as FE International, I'm CEO. This is my, more than full-time job. So I'm already busy. I don't have time to kind of operate as a side business. I've always invested over the last couple of years we invested in an ad network called Newer Media. That was probably one of the largest deals we invested in. And probably also one of the most relevant to your audience. Also invested in a bunch of software businesses that most people would never would have heard of. But I'd say the Newer Media business is quite interesting because it's an ad network that, I guess, since day one of FE, we've always encouraged people who own content sites to test different ad networks. And we actually came across them because one of our clients who was selling content sites, I think he had sold about 10 sites through us, was running all of his sites on this network, which is how we kind of got connected and how the deal ended up happening and how we ended up investing as well.
Oh, yeah, so you've seen it work so well, because that's one of the things we teach here is change the monetization of your website or test new monetizations. And if you've got lots of traffic to the site, like say 50,000 uniques, impressions, you can go to something like Mediavine or a Zoic. But so with Newer Media, I'm presuming, so it's similar to Mediavine then, is it?
Yeah, I'd say that's probably like a pretty similar comparison. Like I said, I'm not involved in the day-to-day, so I'm definitely not the best person to ask all the technical questions, but I think anything above 30,000 monthly impressions, I'd say in almost all cases, at least what I've seen, it will be AdSense. I think a lot of people starting out sign up for AdSense because it's kind of easy. Everyone knows who Google are, so signing up for an account with them is easy. But I'd say once you get your income above, let's say 500 a month or maybe 1,000 a month, you should definitely start testing ad networks. And it might be Mediavine is best for you. It might be that it's Newer Media. It could be AdThrive. There's loads of networks out there, but you should test them. You shouldn't just listen to what I say or what you say and only use one network. You should test everything and see what's right for you, because what works well for one person might not work well for you, and what works well for you might not work well for the next person. So testing is an essential part of growth and success, because you can, in some cases, double your income overnight just from using a better network.
Yep. And guys listening, our community, you should listen to Thomas here, because think of what the deals that Thomas, you've just heard, the sort of deals that Thomas specializes in, 7 and 8 figure, $10 million to $50 million websites. And he's saying exactly what we tell you: test different monetizations on your websites when you're renovating them and fixing them up, because it can really be successful. And as Thomas loves it so much, he's invested passively into one of these ad networks called Newer Media. So we'll put a link there for our community to go and check that out, because that might be a really good alternative, thing that they can be doing over these next few years as they build out their content sites, is just improve that monetization. Obviously, you've seen the results for yourself behind the scenes. You've got the real data. You know how effective it can be bumping up those AdSense.
For sure. I would say anything, and it's the same if you buy a business, like if you buy a business that sells a product, usually the easiest way to increase income is just change the pricing. So exactly same with the content business, either test a different network, whether it's an ad network or affiliate network, test different things. If you're with an affiliate network, it doesn't work with all, but with some, you can always negotiate commissions as well. I remember years ago when I was more actively buying sites myself, one of my best flips on paper back in, I think 2012, was where I had a site and I negotiated with the affiliate partner and they doubled my commission within 2 weeks of owning the business. So essentially the website was worth double overnight, and I didn't do anything other than 3 emails to an affiliate manager.
Yeah. And that's a key. Liz and I have had very similar success stories when we started online as well with affiliate networks. And that's one of the key strategies we teach here. Don't just rely on your standard Amazon affiliate commissions, because they're not that great these days. Sometimes they're down as low as 2 to 4%. You can go direct, and we've seen our students get massive uplift, particularly from COVID. It's really interesting. There's a lot more direct affiliate offers out there now that will pay 10 to 20% on physical products. It's pretty impressive. It's a lot easier, I reckon, than it was 10 years ago to find really good products to promote on websites now. For
sure. And it's also, I guess, the best thing about a website, it's really easy to test. You don't have to roll it out on every single page, find your 5 most popular pages and test it on there. It might take you 2 hours, and if it doesn't work, it takes you 5 minutes to remove it. And if it does work, you can then roll it out on every other page as well. So awesome. Always a good way to make more money. You don't necessarily have to work twice as much to make twice as much. Sometimes you can literally just change one thing, and that's all it will take.
Yeah, it's awesome to hear that, message repeated. Like, we teach that, and it is so unreal to hear it from you, who I do want to reiterate that it's really cool listening to your story. You've got to remember, Thomas, everyone listening, Thomas knows your journey that you're going on, because he started out with the same sort of small little sites, and the first deals you were doing on FE International were in the, in the tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands. And now you must be pinching yourself, a decade later, you're in the like up to 50 million type deals. It's an interesting journey, isn't it?
It's crazy from that perspective. Ismail, my business partner, laughs at me because when 10 years ago, if he asked me like how big I think the industry could get, I think I thought back then that the pinnacle would have been like maybe $1 million revenue business, and that we would maybe often be doing 7-figure deals. Back then, 8-figure deals. So we go back to 2012, 8-figure deals in the industry were just not happening. Like, no, you probably had never seen one. I'd never seen one.
No.
I had no idea. So the industry's, I'm definitely going to be interested to see where it goes in the next 10 years. Because you've only grown, we've only grown, lots of other companies in the space have only grown, and more people doing like good things. Everybody makes more money. It's not a zero-sum game. If you and Liz are doing well, that's good for us. If our competitors are doing well, that's also indirectly good for us, because there's more and more people coming into the space, more people selling websites, buying websites. That's good for everybody in the industry.
Yeah, it's really good to hear too, because it is a common question we get asked by new people coming into our environment who are totally new to this space. They always say, well, are we at the peak of the market? And our answer is no. I think this is like bricks and mortar world. Buying and selling of businesses has always been around, and now we're reaching a really good level in the internet space. And so for you guys going forward, obviously you see the same. You're playing the long game, just like us. I presume you're not expecting massive growth as such, or where you've put on new staff. I presume you've got 50 staff members now. What's your prediction, say, for the next 5 years? Let's finish the interview with, think of our audience. They're that second group of people that you talked about, who used to be hobbyists, building websites as a side hustle. Now they're seeing them as a real business. They're moving into this more and more full-time so they can quit their jobs. For someone like that, where do you see the next 2 to 5 years, or the opportunities?
I think firstly, there will always be more opportunities. There's always going to be new ad networks to test, affiliate programs to test, new social networks to test for traffic. And like I said, you'll need, particularly if you have a relatively small business. So the stage that my business is at, we're, I guess, fortunate to be 8-figure revenue business, a team over 50. For me there's not one thing I can do in my business which doubles revenue overnight. When you have at least not that I know of, and if someone does, feel free to email me and tell me, and I'll do it. In a smaller business, if you're making 2,000 a month, 1,000, even 200 from your site, there are lots of small things you can do to improve it, and those opportunities will continue to exist. So I think the main thing that will not change, there's not going to be, you've not missed the boat if you're starting today. I think a lot of people get in, they're like, oh, Thomas has been doing this 12 years, Matt and Liz have been doing this for ages. They know everything. There's no way I can catch up. I guess my underlying advice would be, do not worry about where the industry will be in 5 years. I can assure you the industry will still be going. More and more people in the world will be coming online. More and more people have internet access, Amazon accounts, credit cards, lots of things that, I guess, from the UK, where I live in the US, you guys in Australia are very fortunate to have access to credit cards, internet. We take it for granted. Lots of people in the world do not, but more and more people are getting that access. So there's only going to be more people coming online, and the opportunities are only going to grow. It's not saturated. There's not too many people in the space. And you doing well does not mean your neighbor or someone else in your coaching group or someone in your mentorship group or your coach cannot do well. Everyone can do well together. And there's an almost unlimited amount of opportunities online.
Awesome. Yeah, that is unreal. Thank you so much for that. And so, Thomas, for our members or anyone that wants to reach out to you, what's the best way if they want to have a confidential discussion? Say they've got a bigger website. We do know there's people listening to this that have significantly sized websites. What's the best way for them to contact you or your team?
Sure. I'd say best thing to do, usually go to the finternational.com website. You can either choose, if you're buying and you want to just browse the businesses we have, go to that section. If you want to sell, I'm sure once this goes up on social media, you'll tag me. If you want to reach out to me personally, I have a team that helps me with social media. So don't be worried about sending me a message. I'll pick it up. If I'm not the best person to help, I'll make an introduction to the best person in my team. But feel free to reach out, even if you're just not sure and you just have a question. Like, I've been doing this a long time. This is what I enjoy. You don't necessarily need to be a client for me to ask a question or answer a question. No question is like too small or too stupid. More than happy to answer. So email me, social media, reach out to the team. We'll be happy to pick it up.
Want to speak to Thomas, contact him with the links that we put below here. And big thank you, Thomas, for coming along today. Looking forward to an update again down the track, but big thank you for coming along today.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. And hopefully next time I see you, will be in person rather than Zoom.
In person, absolutely. All right, we'll speak soon.
Thanks, Matt.